Steve, Aston Villa, very much a different proposition to what you've faced so far.
Well, it's fantastic, isn't it? You know, it's one of the Premier League's iconic football clubs. I've been before to Villa Park and taken teams there. There'll be a tremendous crowd from both sides. We're taking a big travelling support, so it's a free shot for us, but we're looking forward to it.
How's the squad?
Yeah, we're in good shape. I think everyone's available to be selected if we choose, all except Elliot, and so we're in a real good place.
You likely to have a 9-man bench?
Yeah, I think it's getting close, and it's been nice. We've been down to 4 and 5 on a bench on this season, but we understand that if we run with a smaller squad, then these things happen. So yeah, we'll be strong on the bench as well.
What do you know about Aston Villa? How do you go about scouting them?
Well, it's very difficult. We'd had a good look at them at Tottenham, and we've had a good look at them against Wolves, and I don't even think a mixture of both will be the team that we face. I think there'll be I think the manager there will select wisely, as he does. His track record in cup competitions is unbelievable when you go and search it. So from that point of view, we know they'll be strong, whatever team they pick. If they pick the bench from the Wolves game in midweek, it's full of just really good Premier League players. So we'll be very humble and respectful, but we try and go there and hope that perhaps they don't have the best of days.
You think you can cause them some problems?
Well, we think if we get the ball in the right areas, we can cause them a problem or two, but we have to understand that, you know, Aston Villa will largely have the ball, and it's what we do without the ball, and when we do get the ball, we have to be keeping it, and we have to be accurate, and we have to be pointed. It's, you know, as I said, it's a free shot for us. I think if it's many goals to 0 in Villa's favour, everyone would expect it, but the FA Cup is what we know is on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there'll be shocks, and we have to hope and pray to the man above that we get the breaks of the ball and we're one of them.
No matter what happens, really, it's going to be a big learning curve for a lot of your players.
I think they'll embrace it. I think they'll love it. We've got some big characters, and you never really know until you put them into a theatre like Villa Park or had it at Leeds. You never knew who was going to embrace it till they're out there. Some will embrace it, and some won't. But it's a game to embrace. It's an opportunity to look back on with your kids and your grandkids, and when it's on the telly in the future, you can say you've played there.
You touched upon it earlier. Nearly 3,000 Stevenage fans will be making their way there as well. That'll be some sight. Yeah, I think it's tremendous. I think it's a game like this always invigorates the town, whatever town you're in or city. And you know, going to Villa Park, it's not even half the Premier League. It's in that top echelons. It's former European Cup winners, legends all around the stadium when you go through the lounges, and you can see who the speakers in the lounges are, for example, when you do your work on it. So we know what we're going to. I certainly know what we're going to. But our message to be the players, let's go there and embrace it. Let's enjoy it. But let's play with the enthusiasm that we play with in League Two.
Okay. One thing that struck me over the last couple of weeks speaking to you is, despite everything you've achieved in a great career, you seem really excited about going there and facing them.
I think anyone who goes around the country watching games, any manager, even in the Premier League, if you're driving up that M6, the ground you see on the left-hand side is Aston Villa. And it's always one of them where you, certainly I did, is immediately you think back to when you've gone there, taking your team there. Of course, I've been there watching games. I went there to watch Scotland, of course, in Euro 96 with Craig Brown. And we always enjoy a week away, don't we, when we go into those competitions, the Scottish people. But it's just such an iconic football club. And, you know, everybody you speak to that's been inside it, then you realise how good it is.
There's going to be a reunion as well when you get up there. Tell us about Martinez.
Oh, well, I hope he's got his World Cup medal to show me. I think I've perhaps played less than a fingernail in his career, but probably an important part when you consider he was at a crossroads at Arsenal, and he came to Rotherham in the Championship, and he was stunning on the pitch, he was stunning off the pitch, and you know, I was certainly one of many who's played a little part in his career who was so proud when everything he'd done at the World Cup, obviously ultimately being a World Cup champion, and I can see he's enjoyed his celebrations back in his homeland. And then somebody said to me the other day, actually, a family member, if you get any dreams left in football, I said to go on holiday with him to Argentina in the summer. And but I look forward to catching up with him. You know, we're not in regular touch anymore. Things drift, if you like. But I did send him a couple of messages on the World Cup, and he embraces everything what football stands for. A kid that comes from humble beginnings in Argentina to being a World Cup winner.
Do you imagine Luke Norris, if he gets a penalty against him, will fall for any of his antics?
I think he'll score. I think I think Emmy's a big presence in goal. He's a man mountain, isn't he? And he's a confident boy. If we get a penalty, he'll be talking to Luke straight away. That's what Emmy does. But I've got nothing but, even when he went to back to Arsenal and he went on to Villa, and I've watched him on a few occasions as a spectator at Villa Park, just because I take the odd Premier League game in. Then he's been outstanding. But I look forward to giving the big man a big handshake.
One other thing that's happening on Sunday is VAR is going to be available in goal line technology. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think my thought process is it makes up for the mistakes by referees, isn't it? We're all human. Referees are going to call things differently. And listen, whether it's the referee on the day or whether it's the referee with VR, that you just hope they get it right. That's all. For both sides, we just want it to be right. But it's nice that if you're going to be undone away at a big club in front of the whole end, and there's penalties being given against my team sometimes at away ends that you think, when you look back, they're never penalties. So the good thing about this, that clarifies it.
You've signed 2 players this week. I mean, are they both cup tied, I believe?
Yeah, both can't play. Both will travel with us. Both will be part of the group, but they can't play. They played in the competition, so it rules it out. And it'll be the squad that's earned the right to be at Villa Park that will be in terms of getting stripped at Villa Park. So, but we've added to the group because when we come out of Villa Park, we'll very quickly be getting ready for Harrogate. And if you talk about measurements in football, then Aston Villa to Harrogate to Stevenage is worlds apart. So, but we need to be ready for next week too.
How's the group taken to the new signings? I mean, I know Jake's been for a couple of days and Daryl's only just arrived. But
I think they take to them because they know them. They've played against them. They know people that plays with them and against them. The 2 top players, the 2 championship players, and they might have come from League One, but if you look at both in isolation, both Daz and Jake have both played a lot of championship football. So we think we've added some real good competition to the group because the boys that are playing in there at the minute have been excellent for us. And what we're trying to do is create competition in key areas of the pitch. And I'm sure that in the next 4 or 5 days we'll have added further to the group.
Are you expecting any in before Sunday or not?
You never know. I didn't expect Daz Hogan to happen as quickly as it did, but my relationship with Gareth Ainsworth's probably got that a tick in the box quicker than most would get it. But we're speaking to clubs and players now. We have like I said before, we have a rifled approach. We know who we want. We have obviously lists in terms of priorities. So we know who we want, and Leon, myself and our chairman is even involved at this stage. I spoke to him yesterday more than most times, if you like, 4 or 5 times separately on the phone at different times, where he's trying to get things over the line for his chairman to chairman. So we're working really hard behind the scenes. But our focus today moves to the training ground. We'll train shortly and we'll train again tomorrow. Then we'll travel up to the Midlands for Sunday.
Just finally, to gain on transfers, you said last week after Saxon left that you were pretty close to getting a replacement to come in. Any further on?
Well, we're looking at a couple of options. One would have been with us, but he's now playing for his team in the FA Cup on Saturday. So it's amazing, isn't it, when you're on the bench or you're just off it or whatever it is, and then suddenly an FA Cup tie comes. But the manager is, in my opinion, should and does have full control. So if he wants to have his player playing in the FA Cup on Saturday, then that's his prerogative. But we have him watched. He's one of 3 that we've got possibilities, 2 strong possibilities, and he's our first option.